Chad, is it officially April Fool's, or am I allowed to actually believe anything my guy Damon says on today's show?
Welcome on into the AZ Wildcats podcast, live from Studio K, presented by the fine folks over at Circle K, America's thirst stop. I am Damon Fairall, aka Damon Dog. That's my guy Kevin Thomas, aka Kevo Post. We are the AZ Wildcats pod, and of course, we're presented by our presenting sponsor of Branded Bills. Head on over to brandedbills.com. Use promo code BBPHNX and get 15% off your first order. I've seen a couple people, I think it was Wildcat Fields even, that mentioned that he used BBPHNX to help get 15% off a couple of orders of hats. If you guys buy anything from the All City Locker, All City Network Locker, one of our shirts, get in on the Die Hard sale. You buy something that is AZ Wildcats pod related. You use promo code BBPHNX and get yourself some new hats over at brandedbills.com. Kevin and I will retweet. We'll follow you back. That's just a little extra incentive. I know that it means everything to everybody. Getting the Damon Dog and the Kevo Posts Twitter follow. But if you guys show us support, we want to show you guys support in return. So appreciate everybody for getting in on that. And of course, our guy Wildcat Fields does mention something off the top of the show, Kevin, that is important to note. We are just a mere, 3 days away from being blessed to play the Michigan Wolverines in a Final Four matchup. Of course, this Michigan team is the greatest team that has ever graced a college basketball floor. And Arizona is merely lucky to be invited to the competition. Kevin, closer by the minute, how we feeling on a Wednesday?
I feel a whole lot like Wildcat Fields, but maybe not that comment. Maybe his first comment that said it's Wednesday, and I feel like the ball's about to be tipped in 30 seconds. Man, can we play this damn basketball game? I'm excited for Arizona versus Michigan. It should be a battle of absolute titans of the college basketball world this season. Anything they can do, we can do better. Anything we can do, they can do better. It feels like one of those kind of matchups where both teams' strengths align, and it's just going to be hopefully an all-time great game in the Final Four between Arizona and Michigan. But today we spent 2 days, technically 2.5 days, straight up previewing that matchup, talking about many different ways in which we feel like it could go. Some ways we think Arizona could win the game. But today we're going to have Tyler Rucker of No Ceilings on at 2:30 to help us preview the NBA draft aspects of things and overall just the development of some of the best players that you're going to see in this game upcoming on Saturday. Brayden Burries, Peat, Kharchenkov, Krivas, people from Michigan, Lendeborg, Morez Johnson Jr. as well. And then tomorrow, Damon, I want to reveal this at the end of the show. We're gonna pocket it. Put it in the back pocket and save it for the end of the show. But we do have an Arizona legend coming on the pod tomorrow that Damon and I will speak with, and you guys will love to hear that. So stick around to the end. We'll break that one down and announce it for tomorrow's show. But Damon, last night, I was doing McHale Madness with our guy Saul and Corey Williams. They had a wonderful conversation, great preview of this Arizona-Michigan matchup last night on the channel. Go check it out after this pod. But during that show, I would be lying if I did not say that my attention was a little distracted. You know what I mean? I'm not going to lie. I'm producing the pod, but also it is the night of the McDonald's All-American game and the it's annual every year, but the annual game of the most elite men's and women's basketball players at the high school level in the country, and that was last night. We got to see Jason Richardson's kid win the dunk contest, and I told Saul...
There's another one?
I told Saul, that made me feel old. Jason Richardson having a kid named Jackson Richardson.
Isn't Jace Richardson already in the league, brother?
No, Jason Richardson, not Jace Richardson. But either way.
Isn't Jace Richardson Jason Richardson's kid?
Does he have multiple kids?
Yeah.
My word. He does have multiple kids.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Jace Richardson is in the NBA right now.
Golly.
He got drafted last. Were you not aware that Jace Richardson was Jason Richardson's kid?
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not too aware of Jace Richardson. Like the fact that he exists as a human being,
first round pick, brother,
does stuff. Yeah, but
you're college basketball man.
I can't literally remember
Michigan State starter.
Every single player on. You know what I mean? I forget these.
The
things.
Kevin Rolodex has an expiration date of 1 season.
He went to the league.
He will absorb like a sponge all of that information over the course of a year. And then he will forget about you, and you will go into the rearview mirror 100%. From then on out. I respect that.
He went to the league, the
ultimate
played
college
in college,
basketball
and
man.
I'm like,
Who?
I'm good. I'm good on Jace Richardson.
Zach Edey? What?
But yeah,
like just pick players that were like very notable in college and being like, never heard of him. He's 100%. Not currently in college basketball.
Dude, it's just a lot to keep up with. You know what I mean? A lot of individuals to.
It is nuts, though.
A lot of individuals to like keep up with like who their parents are and where they originated from.
We are now in the era of like we're getting the kids of the guys that we grew up watching, and it's pretty brutal. Baseball is like a one that has like a million of those guys, right?
Yeah.
And the Blue Jays had all of them on their team at one time just to make everybody feel old every time you watch them, but. Now, I mean, it's so Jackson Richardson, is he going to Michigan State as well?
No, I think Jackson Richardson is, I forgot off the top of my head. Let me look it up right now. I don't want to speak. Alabama. That's
interesting.
Where it was. Yes, Alabama.
Tom Izzo to Nate Oates.
Tom Izzo to Nate Oates. Huge downgrade there for that. But I will say he did win the dunk contest last night. That was pretty cool. It did make me feel old watching that happen. He jumped over like 4 people to win that dunk contest. It was pretty impressive stuff, I'm not going to lie to you. And then the game tipped off. Obviously, you had the women's game first, right? No Arizona Wildcats in that game. So if you're looking for a breakdown of that, this is not the podcast for it. But the men's game tipped off after, and dare I say, it was a fun, not too much defense, but like for an all-star game kind of a setting, it was kind of intense. You had some guys playing some defense, flexing a little bit, trying to show some energy. Caleb Holt, we're going to talk a lot about him, over the course of the next 15, 20 minutes here, Damon. But he starts out slow in this game. And I think this is kind of where I wanted to take things once we get into that game. But he starts out the game pretty slow. And I felt like, okay, I see the same things I've been seeing on tape in terms of athleticism and the skill sets and the way he wants to do things. I'm seeing that out there, but he's not really producing a whole bunch. He's driving and kicking. He's driving and kicking to Cameron Williams. And I'm like, man, Damon, what could have been? And then I think I texted you that, and I was like, what could have been between these two? And just what was Cameron Williams thinking? Besides getting filthy, stinking rich and playing for one of the best programs in the country in Duke. But what was he thinking? You could have played with that guy in Tucson.
Yeah.
And it would have been awesome. But either way, he did play very, very well in that game. Obviously, he takes home co-MVP honors with Mizzou commit, Jason Crow. And I told you, Damon, on Twitter, I think in the DMs, that if Tommy stays and Caleb Holt becomes awesome, like we think he is, and if Dennis Gates can figure out how to coach the talent he recruits and not just recruit the talent, this could be a Kevin Thomas-centric college basketball world we live in for the whole next year.
Classic Kevin. He claims
it really
Mizzou,
could be.
He claims Mizzou when they're looking pretty solid.
Well, to be fair, I think you know this
Mizzou's
about me.
Falling off a cliff, he goes, never heard of her.
No, I think you know
I'm an
this
Arizona
about me.
guy, brother.
I think you know this about me. I follow Mizzou all the time, but I will. I don't know. It's easier to talk about things that are good. I don't want to talk about Dennis Gates being bad when I have Tommy Lloyd to talk about.
At the end of the day, I'm just messing with you. It's funny. It's not your team. And so both St. Louis and Mizzou, I think, are teams that like you're allowed to have some affinity for. No one's saying that you're living and dying with the results of those games. Like you didn't shed a tear when St. Louis got beat in the tournament. But you were rooting for them, which is, 100%. I think that's totally fair and fine.
I will say, if Missouri State did something, I think I could give a damn. Respectfully. I think that's kind of where I draw the line. Like Missouri State and like Maryville and UMSL and all those other schools out there. I'm like,
you say that now, and Missouri State has like a College World Series run in baseball because I'm pretty sure they have a good program. You're going to pop on this podcast and be like, how about those Bears? I think that's what they are, right?
Yeah, they're the Bears. They're the Bears out there in Springfield. But either way, Caleb Holt, right, starts out last night pretty slow coming into the game, and I felt like this is kind of what stuck out to me the most. And I said pre-show to you that there was something I wanted to talk about with Caleb Holt, and this is that thing. I think, we're going to get into why he won co-MVP and his production in that game and the skill set he shows when he takes the court. But he said this when asked about what he's going to bring from a skill set perspective to Arizona. And then I want to tell you about what I noticed from that last night's game.
For sure, Rich just an exciting player, wanting to win every day. He's going to give you everything they got on the court, whether it's shooting, assisting, kind of just being that leader on the team, kind of with what Jaden Braldey is for the team this year. I say definitely me, defense and shooting. That's what the NBA is looking for right now, so I just want to be the most versatile player NBA GM wants to draft.
Now, I do love what he was saying there about wanting to be like a Jaden Braldey kind of a figure for next year's team. And now, obviously, that is extremely high stakes to come in and be like, I want to play like a 4-year senior. You know what I mean? And then come in and lead a team like that. I'm not going to say he's going to come in and do that day one instantly. I'm not even going to say he's going to be able to do it at all. But what I am going to say is that mindset of having a true point guard's mentality of I want to facilitate for others. I want to create for my teammates. I want to make others better. You saw it last night in the McDonald's All-American game. He comes into that game, the first 2 quarters, pretty pedestrian from him. I'm not going to lie. It was he showed a couple flashes, missed a couple jumpers. Maybe if those fell, we're talking about it differently. But I felt like he started pretty slow. But then that third quarter came around. And the game was still in the balance at that point. Like, it ended up being a blowout, but the game was like 59-54, I think, around this time, the third quarter. He took over in this game. And I loved that about him. The ability in an all-star setting when all these scouts, all these eyes are on you, people are trying to get theirs, trying to get their highlight clip moment, and you're willing to participate in that as a facilitator for the first half of the game and then say, you know what, it's time for me to go win the MVP. And show what I can do now. You've had your time to get into the game, Cameron Williams. I've given you the opportunity to get your warm-ups, going, J.J. Richardson, or Andrews, I should say. But now is Caleb Holt time. And he completely took over in that third quarter. And that's what I loved. Because we talked about, Jaden Braldey being the closer this year and needing a guy next year that can take over for you in those big moments when you need him most. Caleb Holt looks like he might have some of that intangible to his game of wanting to take over in the big moments, letting his teammates get going early, get your rhythm, go, do what you got to do. I know I got my rhythm at all times, and I'm going to take over when I need to. That was really encouraging for me.
Yeah, and it's not the type of game where it's going to be conventionally, right, where, these guys that are on the court all expect to see a pretty high amount of usage, I think, on their new teams. Like, this is, as you said, like an all-star exhibition game of sorts, and Caleb Holt isn't necessarily going to force the issue and be like, let me ball hog real quick while other guys who are top 30 players in the country are, sitting there and being like, come on, bro, are you going to pass the ball? Julian Newman style, dribbling between the legs at the top of the key. And it's like, brother, pass the rock. But Caleb Holt, I think, did prove yesterday that he is cut from a slightly different cloth than a lot of these guys. And now I'll admit, like, I wasn't really watching the game. I had D-backs coverage that I had to be a part of. And so Kevin was kind of holding down the fort from an AZ Wildcats podcast perspective side of things. But I did see some of the highlights, and yeah, he looks impressive, man. And winning McDonald's All-Star MVP is incredibly impressive. Like that is, I think something that almost forecasts the type of player that you're getting, pretty easily, right? Like, I'd be curious to see, is there a database of the MVPs throughout the years?
It's funny that you say this, because in my to-do list for today, after our podcast goes off air and you and Derek cover the great D-backs game, hopefully great D-backs game, that is going on right now in a post-game coverage, everybody should be there, I will be doing a VOD about Caleb Holt and him winning the McDonald's All-American game, and I was going to go back through the last 10 McDonald's All-American game MVPs/co-MVPs and see where they are today and see if we can maybe forecast how impactful Caleb Holt could be.
That is a really interesting piece of content that we'll have right here on the PHNX Sports YouTube channel. That's my guy, Kevin Thomas, answering the hard-hitting questions. Kevin, are you aware of who it was in 2025?
I haven't looked it up yet.
Give me a guess, brother.
Last year?
Co-MVPs as of last year.
Last year? Mm-hmm. Had to be AJ, right?
It was not AJ.
Oh, was it Darren Peterson and...
1 for 2.
Now I'm forgetting every freshman in existence in America. Caleb Wilson?
No.
Ooh. Those are my 3 guesses.
You got this, brother.
I struck out. Those are my 3 guesses.
Brother, you got one more guess and you got it. I'm telling you.
Foul tip on AJ. We're right back in the box.
I'm telling you, you need one more guess here.
Wasn't it Burries?
Damn it. Boozer.
Oh, wow. I forgot about Cameron Boozer's existence.
Yes, you did.
I gave him the Chase Richardson treatment.
You did.
He's out of the tournament.
He's out of the tournament. He's out of college.
Who is he?
Flew out one side. The second Mullins hit that shot.
Oh,
Kevin's
man.
like, Cameron Boozer,
Man,
who?
that's hilarious.
You know Caden Boozer, though, because that MFer is going to be back in college next year. So the Caden Boozer stuck with you a little bit.
I feel bad for Caden Boozer for real.
2024 MVPs, Kevin. Derek Queen and Dylan Harper.
Okay.
I mean, so we're just getting top 10 picks here.
We are.
Across the board.
We are.
2023, we don't even talk about 2023. It's all good.
What happened in 2023?
It was DJ Wagner and Isaiah Collier.
Okay.
So
yeah.
not exactly
not
the same caliber of
not
players,
ideal.
but
not ideal.
Since they've been doing co-MVPs the last couple of years, impressive company.
Indeed.
And I feel like this is another long list of the elite Arizona freshmen that we're going to be talking about. You know how like you go back throughout history. Obviously, this year you're going to be thinking about Koa, Brayden, Yvonne in particular, but throughout history, right? It's Aaron Gordon, Stanley Johnson, DeAndre Ayton, Jared Bayless, like all of these guys who showed up as freshmen and were so impactful from day one. Feels like Caleb Holt is going to be handed the baton here and be next up on that list of elite freshmen.
And he is absolutely locked in on his Cats, is Caleb Holt. Apparently, he has watched damn near every game, and this is what he had to say in reaction to Arizona's game against Purdue.
Oh yeah, I've watched every game. When we were down last game, I was feeling like it was the end of the world, but I felt like I knew they was gonna come back and everything. I just had to start watching. That's what I told somebody. But it's been great. That's where I want to be next year. So I'm imagining myself in that position, as next year.
Dude, this guy has Dwight Howard shoulders, and he plays shooting guard. Is anyone else noticing this?
I mean, he is as broad as the side of a barn.
Like I want you to but when we go to the next clip, look at. I know I'm a 5'9", average, white American male. Like I'm not the most impressive of frames, but at the same time, I just want you to look at my shoulder width, and then just. Let's look at Caleb Holt's shoulder width. It's the craziest thing you've ever seen. And this guy plays guard, Kevin. He plays guard. And he already has a pretty big frame and is pretty stocky, I'd say, for a guy who's coming into college. But I think that, we could be looking at, and I'll need to see him play a lot more, but another Brayden Burries type situation where you're like, man, this guy is powerful as hell for a college freshman guard. Just super unconventional in that regard.
And Real Pigeon brings up something you said live during the clip when we were watching it behind the scenes. You said, man, he's already saying we. He really is locked in on the Arizona Wildcats. And yes, that is awesome. That is incredible. But why is he so locked in? Thank you, Real Pigeon, for the segue. Here is what Caleb Holt had to say in terms of why he chose Arizona and why he chose Tommy Lloyd.
Definitely, I say the culture they had. It was something very similar to where we're at right now, prolific prep. The attack every day by day, just with the mindset of winning the day. That's the memo we have at prolific prep, and that's the memo Tommy Lloyd has. I got to play for Tommy Lloyd at U19 USA, so I got to see what he was about there. Oh yeah, most definitely. That was definitely about 80% of my decision. So the stuff at Arizona was just a cherry on top when I got to visit, and actually got to see everything, and I was like, yeah, this is me right here.
What was it like playing for him?
Oh, it was great. It was a calm, collected, confident coach, real coach who encourages you, instills in you with confidence. That was his biggest thing. He instilled me with confidence. He believed in me when his job was on the line and everything. So, and under pressure, he was very poised and everything. That was my favorite part about Coach Tommy.
Tommy Lloyd continues to be the players' coach of all players' coaches, and I think that Caleb Holt right there details just how important it is that Tommy Lloyd is the FIBA U20 World Cup coach, right? Because he gets the opportunity to coach these guys, get hands-on with these players, and then the players can decide if that kind of, I guess, coaching style is something that they're looking for, something that they want at the next level. And Caleb Holt, I mean, it sounds like it's clear as day, Kevin, that his decision was entirely impacted by his team, his playing with Team USA, and saying that 80% of his decision was because he played under Tommy Lloyd for Team USA during this summer, which, I think as a Arizona fan, like, just has to make you feel thrilled that our guy is the one that has been tasked with doing this job. And it just, you get this inherent advantage here. And it's great to have as an Arizona fan.
100%. And it's something we've talked about on this podcast multiple times, is like, that is, in addition to so many other things about Tommy Lloyd, like, that is his true superpower. Something that no other coach is currently able to say that they are, right? As the head coach of the U19 team. Yeah, you got like Grant McCaslin, who also has a hand up on some of these things, being an assistant on that, that squad. But
for sure,
Tommy Lloyd being the head coach of that team, it's a different level of cachet, a different level of access that you get to these guys. And I think it's a huge advantage for Tommy Lloyd. And we've seen it already, and we're seeing it with Caleb Holt. And I do think that, it
also shows levels a little bit, right? Like,
yeah,
hey, Grant McCaslin's cool, right? But like, is he the head ball coach?
True.
Or is it me?
True.
I know Tommy's not doing that, but like, I feel like that's just kind of, that would formulate in your subconscious a little bit of like, well, he's the head coach for a reason, not the guy who's the lead assistant.
Yeah. And
Sorry to cut you off.
No, you're good. And I also think, like, Tommy Lloyd being the head coach of that team and you competing for like gold medals and things that really matter, like high level of competition out there in the FIBA games, that shows you what he's built like in the tough moments. I think it's really easy for a coach to make everything about them seem wonderful when there's no adversity hitting. When it's the off season, you're on the recruiting trail. Oh, I'm going to sell you all this different stuff about me and who I am as a person. And then when it hits adversity, you see what they're really like.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what they say? Like, you don't really know somebody until you lived with them for 6 months or whatever the time is. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of what it must be like to get coached by a guy like that before you get recruited by them, right? Like, Caleb Holt, seeing what Tommy Lloyd is like, you heard it there. Cool, calm, collected, poised in the tough moments too. When his job is on the line, when the game is on the line, that's how he responds, and I love that about him. And I think that that's not an experience you get if you're at home during the offseason. But if you're competing for gold medals, competing for World Cups with the best players in the country at their age group, huge advantage for Tommy Lloyd. And I did love, hearing that Tommy Lloyd was a huge percentage of why Caleb Holt chose Arizona.
80%.
Because, yes, 80%. I mean, vast majority. Because it shows that you have the right guy for the job. And I think that if there's a message to anybody in leadership this week that you need to keep Tommy Lloyd, it's the response from the fan base and the response from guys like Caleb Holt, who's not necessarily responding to a UNC rumor right there. But if you hear a top 5 recruit come out and say, with his broad shoulders, Tommy Lloyd is the reason that I'm here sitting in front of you, and that's what it is, like that, you have to accept it. Tommy Lloyd has done a great job with this program, and guys like Caleb Holt are a huge reason why. Now,
I 100%, Kevin. I just want to piggyback off that for a second. Like, this is, I'm already seeing North Carolina fans on social media be like, so Caleb Holt's starting for us next year? If Tommy Lloyd was to leave Arizona, which I think that we are both on record saying that we don't feel is going to be the case, we think that Tommy Lloyd is ultimately going to kind of, for lack of a better term, win out on this power struggle and get what he ultimately deserves in Tucson and with this athletic department. But if he was to leave, that would throw a huge wrench into next year's roster, the players that potentially would be returning. Like, Tommy Lloyd is the guy who is going to have that kind of pull with these players, whether it's Kharchenkov or Krivas or Dwayne Aristode. I know that Arizona basketball is a huge program. I know Arizona basketball probably top 10, right? And we would find another coach who would ultimately, get the program back to where it needs to be. Granted, it might take a little bit of time, but it certainly would throw a massive hindrance and hurdle into next year's roster and the aspirations that we have next year, which is, I think, being another national title contender under Tommy Lloyd. So Caleb Holt makes it clear as day, like you said, right there. Like, U of A, President Garamella, administration, leadership, this is the guy that, needs to be protected at all costs. Tommy Lloyd is the program right now. And guys like Caleb Holt make that very clear, like you said, Kevin.
Now, obviously, it's great and it's awesome that he's shown some intangibles, in terms of the guy he might be. Like Real Pigeon says, Holt even kind of sounds a little bit like JB, LOL. And I think that is dually maybe his voice, but also maybe the things that he's saying and the way he's carrying himself. So, yeah, all the intangibles are extremely encouraging. But the tangibles with Caleb Holt, what you can see and look at on tape is just as impressive as the off-court stuff. Obviously, co-MVP with Jason Crow. But in this game, statistically, he went 4 for 8 from the field, 2 of 5 from 3. They were 2 pretty impressive threes. One, he kind of got fouled on from deep, and then the other one kind of just came off a screen, confident, in stride, shot it, made it. And then 5 rebounds, but 3 offensive rebounds, I want to note. And then also, I'll note this. He's out there getting grown man rebounds, Damon. This is not just some... miss, it landed right in my arm, boom, we're out in transition. He's jumping up, high pointing the ball, bringing it down, tough, ripping it away, passing it instantly. Really encouraging stuff on the rebounding side of things with him as well. Something I really loved about Brayden Burries' game this year that I think makes him a little bit more unique in terms of the guards in this class is his willingness to rebound physically against wings and forwards and stuff like that. I think Caleb Holt has a little bit of that same traits to him. 4 assists, 11 points, only 1 turnover. I felt like overall, just the rebounding, the outside perimeter creation, his team-oriented mentality, the two-way skills. He's 6'5" with a 6'9" wingspan as well. Incredibly decisive when he drives. Athletic as hell, obviously, when he drives. So, man, we should be pumped about the prospect of Caleb Holt coming to Tucson next year to play for Arizona because he's gonna be a freshman of the year contender, right? And I'll probably. Sure. That might be my first question to Tyler Rucker here when he gets in here in a couple minutes. But I feel like he is a freshman of the year contender next year, even if Arizona has another year of balance, nobody eating crazy stats kind of team. But yeah, he's an incredible talent, and last night was the latest evidence of that.
I mean, that is going to be the issue is this balance aspect side of things, and as I kind of outlaid right there, if Krivas comes back, that's a lot of touches that need to be given to, down low in the post to Big Mo. If Kharchenkov comes back, you expect him to raise his offensive output from a guy that's averaging about 10 to probably a guy that's averaging about 15. Dwayne Aristode's going to need more shots next year. Whatever point guard that you bring in, I think the leaders in the clubhouse feel like Isaiah Johnson or Jackson Shellstad. Both those guys are double-digit point-per-game scorers. Isaiah Johnson is he's the offensive engine of your team type of level scorer. Jackson Shellstad maybe a bit more of a playmaker, but Isaiah Johnson is a good enough offensive player where he's probably scoring about 20 points per game, 18 points per game. So it will be interesting to see if it's similar to this year where every guy being on the team being as good as they are kind of hurts the rest of the team in terms of getting these personal accolades. But I do agree with you. Caleb Holt is the type of player, and you do see the type of usage available to him that you think that he probably is going to at least, make a Brayden Burries size impact, which is maybe just below what that freshman of the year contender is. But we all know that Brayden Burries, if he maybe had a little bit hotter start to the season and was on a team that allowed him to take more shots, probably is right there along with the AJ DeBonstas, the Darren Petersons, the Cameron Boozers of the world as next guy up on those lists of in hierarchy of national freshman of the year candidates. So I expect similar out of Caleb Holt. I think that he's going to, very much fill that Brayden Burries role well. And you heard him talking about specifically the Brayden Burries role months ago. That's obviously something that's been floated to him. And yeah, I'd expect this to be a really, really good fit for Arizona and for Caleb Holt.
I do as well. And Damon, I do want to say, you touched on it, and I don't want to go too deep into it, but to get into my Damon Dog bag a little bit here.
Please.
Mental health check on Carolina fans. Mental health check. Are we okay out there, guys? Are you okay out there in North Carolina? Because
you're asking me as a lifelong Tar Heel?
No, but I'm just saying rhetorically in general, to go out and search for Caleb Holt content, the recruit who is signed to another school, and
Down
be
bad.
In the replies he's gonna look good in Carolina blue next year. It's I don't think look, we've been over this so many times. I don't think Tommy Lloyd's leaving. Even if he was to leave, I think that is still a psychotic way of living your life. It's a wild way of. You're in North Carolina. I thought you had your own. You know what I mean? It's just psychotic. But that's neither here nor there.
They got Mingo, right?
Yeah, they have Mingo. He didn't play in that game. I think due to injury or something. But yeah.
See, what's funny about this, and I think that maybe this is our next evolution of trolling North Carolina fans, which I've been, has kind of been my new passion that I've found in the last couple of days here, Kevin. Maybe we start talking about poaching Mingo. Maybe we start being like, well, you guys are coachless, and we have a ready-made national title contending roster ready to go.
Caleb Holt.
Mingo, what are we thinking, brother? Like, I think you want to play for Tommy Lloyd. How about playing for Tommy Lloyd at Arizona?
Caleb Wilson comes back. I got unfinished business.
Henry Vasar transfers in. He says, "Oh, Tobe's gone now. It's time for the 20-minute split with Krivas." Welcome to the show.
That's awesome.
I mean, Kevin, it's as a guy that if you cut me open, Carolina blue would seep out of my veins. I must say that Billy Donovan is the man for us. Billy Donovan is a multi-time national champion coach. We at North Carolina in Chapel Hill, we do not put all of our eggs in the basket of a guy who just made his first Final Four. We are not here to find risers from a low spot in the business and have them find who they are at North Carolina. We are here for champions. We are here for the highest standard in college basketball, and that's why we are going to dive into the NBA ranks and find ourselves a National Basketball Association coach with 2 national championships to his name in the form of Billy Donovan. And that's why Billy Donovan will be the next North Carolina Tar Heel. I mean, we won't stand for anything less as Tar Heel Nation.
Real Pigeon in the chat says Acuff is going to come back another year and transfer to Arizona. That's not true. However, Damon, last night in that All-American game, Arkansas had 2 dudes that looked phenomenal. Like Jordan Smith next year for Arkansas, just write that name down because dog. I'll just say that much. Absolute dog. And he like threw like a SAT word out in his interview, and I was like, all right, I'm in. I'm fully in on this kid. But either way, we got Tyler Rucker coming up here. I think in about 10 minutes, he's running a little bit behind with the No Ceilings crew. They're doing a ton of NBA draft prep content. So, yeah, he's filming some of that. But he will join us here in about 10-ish minutes. Until then, stick around. Leave a like. Do not go anywhere. It's the AZ Wildcats podcast. We're talking Caleb Holt and so much more after this. I got to tell everybody at home about the husband and wife law team because there's only one number to call if you've been involved in an accident that resulted in serious injury or wrongful death, and that's 602-783-8841, the number of the husband and wife law team. Mark and Alexis Breyer bringing their expertise to the Valley. Their law team has combined hundreds of years of trial experience, which is not something to shake a stick at because the only specialists certified by the Arizona State Bar to do serious injury and wrongful death litigation, less than 1% of all lawyers certified by the Arizona State Bar. And the husband and wife law team are the specialists that you want to call if you've had a serious injury or wrongful death. Because, of course, nobody can guarantee you the outcome of a legal case, but they will do their best to operate in good faith with you because you can cancel your fee agreement anytime with them for any reason. And they promise that you will receive as much in your pocket as they do in their pocket for their attorney's fee, even if they have to reduce their fee to do so. So if you had a serious injury, call that number 602-783-8841 or visit husbandandwifelawteam.com. That link is in our show notes below.
Let's talk a little bit about tickets, Kevin, because we all know with baseball starting up, it's the summer. It's the best time to buy tickets, whether it is a sporting event, a concert, a comedy show, you name it. Game Time has it. Head on over to gametime.co or download that free app, which has the best interface in all of ticketing, and get in on what is full stop the best ticketing app that they have. Game Time combines markets where you are getting the best price possible, and they even have their Game Time guarantee where they will match 100% of the price of whatever ticket you find on a different platform that maybe, is cheaper than what Game Time is offering. But I promise you, that's not going to happen. Fees are included in the price that you see so that you're not blindsided when you're at the in your cart at checkout. And of course, did I mention the interface, Kevin? Ticketing apps, some of them are just brutal. You're clicking on buttons, you're waiting 5 seconds for things to actually happen on your screen. Not Game Time. Game Time is one of the best apps out there. It's the only app that you should be using for ticketing, and it is by far my favorite of the ticketing apps that you can use. So guys, get in on Game Time. The lowest price guarantee, the Game Time ticket coverage guarantee, and those fees all included with Game Time picks, showing you the best deals possible. Game Time is the only place to be buying MLB tickets during this summer. And of course, if you're going to the Final Four, it's the best spot to find the cheapest Final Four tickets available as well. You can even see where you're going to sit in that arena in Indianapolis, so you know exactly what you're getting into. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app today, create an account, and use code PHNX for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code PHNX for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today.
Download that Game Time app. And Erica in the chat saying to my Jordan Smith thing, Calipari, good recruiter, fork found in kitchen. And I will say this much, that sure, Jordan Smith, Jay Sean Andrews, 2 5-stars coming into the class, 2 McDonald's All-Americans coming into the class. But the thing about them, Erica, they play defense. Some of the other recruits that Calipari brings in, they play no defense. So that's why I'm interested mostly in Jordan Smith and Jay Sean Andrews. 6'7" Andrews, 6'2" Jordan Smith, both interested on the defensive side of things. So that should be a fun one. Erica also put in a super chat here for free because Erica's a member and gets 1 free super chat every month, celebrating 6 months of membership. Golly.
Goat.
Cats finally 4? Thinking you should probably be a member just like Erica. And I agree. Honestly. If you're not a member of this great YouTube channel, please do become a member because you get all these great perks, such as the live exclusive emojis. The closer emoji is my favorite. The DJ Tommy is a close second in the chat. You also get members only videos. I have a vlog that Saul Bookman put together going up on the channel tonight for members only when he took a trip out there to San Jose to watch Arizona make their first Final Four in quarter of a century. Unbelievable stuff. Saul got it all on tape. So become a member to check out that exclusive content and more. Yeah, Real Pigeon. You get a free super chat. I think you go to like your chat there, hit the money button, super chat. No, wait, how do you do that? Wait, where is it? Money button? Oh yeah, free member milestone chat. And then you can add a message and send it, and we can read it on the show after at least 1 month of membership. One of those every month. So become a Supporters Club member. That is my spiel for today. Also, like this video, subscribe to the channel, and that's the end of my spiel for today. Damon, it is April Fool's. No, I was not lying when I said Tyler Rucker would come on the show. He is coming on the show here soon. But a former Arizona Wildcat was on social media lying today. Is KJ Lewis coming back home? I mean, Arizona to Georgetown to Arizona. Transfer Georgetown guard KJ Lewis will transfer back to Arizona for the 26-27 season. KJ Lewis himself saying, how you know it's not done? Some people reacting like, bro, no way this is true. Is it true? And he goes, all right, I'm trolling. Let me chill. April Fools, y'all. April Fools, April Fools. Damon, if you didn't know that this was a thing already, would this have gotten you on your timeline? Did this get you at all?
If I wasn't already kind of on red alert for April Fool's activities, maybe. But yeah, I mean, it's certainly not the most unbelievable of things to possibly happen. I wish it was true. You know us. This is the biggest KJ Lewis podcast in America. KJ, friend of the program. Some might say fan of the program at times.
Some might say that.
Depending on his viewing habits. I would love to have KJ back home, but yeah, unfortunately, a joke, it seems.
Yes, unfortunately, a joke. It does seem, as much as me and Erica might have gotten our hopes up. I mean, KJ Lewis
I
coming
do
back
feel
home.
like there's maybe a little bit of smoke to like.
Yeah,
there might be a little bit of interest. I don't think KJ left on bad terms. I've said it on this show before that like I have it on pretty good authority that Tommy Lloyd escorted one player ever to the transfer office at the University of Arizona. I don't think that was KJ Lewis. If I had to put a guess to it, it was Kylan Boswell, who I think you've seen with the way that he's talked about his time at Illinois and leaving Arizona, like felt like it was a decision that needed to be made for his maturity and his just overall betterment of his life. And I feel like there's a good chance that a guy as like down to earth as Tommy Lloyd probably saw that and was like, we need to get you in a better spot for you, brother. It could have been Henry Vasar, could have been KJ Lewis, right? But I don't think that it was. I'd love to have KJ back. I really would. I'm a big fan. But it seems as though he's a target for some other really big schools, including Kansas, Kevin, who I saw Kansas fans doing portal target breakdowns of KJ Lewis yesterday and saying, we want this guy on our team. Thoughts on if that was a potential move for KJ?
I think that would be a good combination of him probably getting a really good bag and also being in a winning situation. I think him going to Georgetown without knowing anything insider, I feel like it's likely him getting a huge bag, but also him maybe believing in what Ed Cooley was selling. And then you get there, the team kind of stinks. You play really well. Yeah, the team really stink. The team really stunk. But then you play really well. You end the year with an injury, and now you're back in the portal. I'm assuming he wants to go win next year somewhere, or at least try to win next year somewhere. And as we know, if you pick a Big 12 team and you're trying to win, you're on the right track at the very least. So I do think that Kansas makes a lot of sense for KJ Lewis. Unfortunately, while I do think that him coming back to Arizona wouldn't end up being like the worst thing in the world, it just feels like there is a bit of a log jam right now at that position for him to think of coming back to Arizona. But we can hold out hope. We can hold out hope here as KJ Lewis kind of trolls everybody on April Fools. Did you get got by any other April Fools pranks today, Damon, at all?
No.
You're just too smart. You're too smart for the April Fools?
Listen, I'm very gullible, I would feel like, when it comes to this stuff typically, but for some reason I kind of had it clocked that this was April Fools this year. So I've been on red alert all morning. Maybe it's because of past gotchas that, I was like, never again. Never again will they make me out to be a fool online.
I was talking to our guy Bo Brock this morning about April Fools, and I was saying to him, like, unfortunately, April Fools is no fun. You know what I mean? Not anymore. Because if we had candy every day, like we have candy on Halloween, we would not look forward to Halloween the same way. We got people trying to fool us every day on social media now. So April Fools does not feel very special or nearly as fun as it used to. But clearly, KJ Lewis is getting in on it. And before we get to our guy Tyler Rucker, who is waiting in the wings here, I wanted to throw something here at you. And he can watch this in the green room as well. Because as we know, Arizona and Michigan got their send-offs today to Indianapolis for the Final Four, a grand old event. And, Arizona shows up in their warm-ups, their Nike Techs, cooling, relaxing, chilling for the travel to Indy. Michigan shows up in some sport coats, and Aday Mara shows up like a movie villain. I mean, look at this absolute gangster. Are you kidding me? This is now. Is this drip or is this not drip, Damon?
On a 7'3" man as well.
Come on, where is he even getting that?
That's what I'm saying. That's a lot of suit material
in Michigan. They got 7'3" dudes in Michigan.
That better be twice as expensive as the suits that I'm buying. That's all I'm saying, because we're using twice the material. I mean,
I think it's probably more expensive because Yaxel Lendeborg had a go yard bag, go yard because he go hard. That's just,
you're right. Probably the podcaster and the starter of a Final Four team that also has NIL football type of money.
Yes,
probably not exactly the same level of bank account we're talking about here.
No. But speaking of massive, huge brains and even bigger bank accounts, Tyler Rucker is on the pod here of No Ceilings fame, NBA draft analyst himself. Tyler, how are we doing today?
I'm doing great. What a session to listen to you guys. That was electric. Suits, big bank accounts. I mean, fantastic. I'm excited, folks. I'm getting pumped up for this game. I know you guys are.
Now, can we get a confirmation? Is this drip from Aday Mara or is this not drip from Aday Mara?
I think that's Drip City right there. I mean, my goodness. It looks like potentially like a hitman in like a movie or something. Like I'm worried after seeing that, but that's incredible from
just
Aday.
I was like, 7'3"
wow.
European dude just standing next to the boss man. Like that's exactly what it is that's a shooter right there. Michigan has shooters apparently. Who knew? And Aday Mara just hit a 3-pointer in the last game.
Don't put
I
that
think it was his
evil on
first of
us.
the year, right?
Second, I think, right?
Yeah, one of the first or second, but yeah, I mean, Tyler, the vibes are good out here in Wildcat land. You, Arizona, sympathizer fan yourself. How are you feeling heading into this Final Four? You got Michigan in this one. If you handle business, you have some tough customers. People are saying this is the real national title. UConn is sitting on the other side of this potentially. Illinois is sitting on the other side of this. How are you feeling going into this Final Four in Indy?
Hey, I'm like everybody else. It is just you're thrilled to be going up against Michigan because two unbelievable teams that I really feel like middle of the year, you're kind of like, I hope there's a road where these two can have a little bit of a showdown because it's almost like identical roster construction. They match up really well. It's going to be fun to kind of see, who gets to go on to the national title. But I'm right there with you guys. Like, hey, if you take care of this one, you still got a heck of a challenge to get over with those other two teams. Those teams can play. So it's going to be a really fun Final Four, but I know everyone's, licking their chops about this showdown. This is probably one of the most exciting matchups I've seen in a really long time, I think, when it comes to Michigan and Arizona. This is two fun teams.
It's the highest Ken Palm thrill score of all time between these two teams that are both, I believe, in the top 4 in the all-time Ken Palm net rankings. Or net ratings, I should say. No way it can live up to the hype, right? Because that is like it's almost like you've set up for this insane game. It feels like we're like almost like being set up for a disappointment in that regard. No.
Yeah, I'm like, are we just going to be set up for like the blowout and it's disappointing? But you hope you just get to where we're at halftime and we're like, woo, that was fun. Can we get one more half like that? And I think we'll get that. I think these teams are well coached. They're good. They're balanced. They've also got the ability to where like, hey, they can go on some big runs and really get back into the game. And I think it's just going to be really interesting to kind of see the in-game adjustments from the coaches, what players can really step up. And I'm fascinated to see like who guards who, like who's matching up. And it's one of those things from a draft perspective. Yeah, I'm excited out of my mind. From an Arizona Wildcats and basketball fan perspective, I'm even more excited.
100%.
I want to touch on something, then get back to it. Obviously, we have Tyler on to talk about draft evaluations, but you mentioned the coaches, and there's been a lot of rumors flying around Tommy Lloyd, what his future holds, the North Carolina job. Can you tell us, Tyler, as a ball knower, resident ball knower, guy we bring on to kind of help teach the fans a thing or two, why is Billy Donovan the right man for the job in Chapel Hill?
I think he's the perfect man for the job. Are you kidding me? But look, it's been annoying as I'm a Wildcats fan. I'm fair to say that, but it's been annoying because I'm like, can we just focus on how good this game is going to be and like the matchups and everything? And I know Tommy and the rumors are getting a lot of attention, but it's also like, hey, Tommy's in a position right now where he's like, I'm going to be fine either way. Like, we're in the Final Four right now. Let's focus on this. And I still think he's going to end up staying home. And hopefully, they take care of that. And this is just the classic negotiation tactic. But yes, Billy Donovan, perfect for North Carolina. Those fans would be thrilled with him.
I mean, I would love it maybe more than anybody else as a guy that said he would walk to Chapel Hill if Tommy Lloyd ends up at UNC. So lots on the line for me personally, Tyler. But you've mentioned the matchups here in this game, and we got to start with the point guard position because for Arizona, it feels like the backcourt is that slight edge you do have in this game where the teams are virtually identical. Otherwise, that backcourt is where Arizona, you have a top 10 pick in Brayden Burries coming up. You have a very veteran of the game, steady closer in Jaden Braldey, whereas Michigan, you have some really good guards. But in my opinion, it feels like that's where Arizona has the edge. When you look at that point guard matchup between Jaden Braldey and Elliot Cadeau, what pops out to you?
Yeah, you kind of go through both these teams, and from a draft perspective, I've been kind of saying, like, I'm doing a piece for No Ceilings, NBA.com, and I'm kind of trying to go, like, who has the most to gain from this Michigan-Arizona roster? And I think it's Jaden Braldey. I think this is a big opportunity for him. And look, Elliot Cadeau is a really good, talented floor general for Michigan. He's fantastic when it comes to playmaking and everything, but this is a big opportunity. I think Jaden Braldey could be kind of one of those X factors for Arizona and really cement himself as a player that's, maybe going to be rising up some boards in that second round. And I just think he's been fantastic all year. And the fun thing about this Arizona Wildcats team, I think, is every every game they've needed someone else to step up, and it's never been the same person. It always seems to like, oh, who's going to do it? And it's, oh my gosh, it's Jaden Braldey or Peat or Brayden Burries or Kharchenkov. It just feels like Bradley's always found a way to kind of be the guy of like, I got you guys, let's go. Let me take home. So I think with Cadeau's offensively, you want to slow him down, make life a little difficult, try to get up on him and make it physical. But for Jaden on the offensive side of the ball, I think he could really do some good stuff and get to his spots and work and kind of have that advantage. So there's a lot of fun matchups all across the board. But I think when it gets to that point guard position, I really like Jaden Braldey's, opportunity he has here.
Now, you said this, not necessarily something I had on the rundown going into today, not really Arizona, Michigan, but we are talking about Jaden Braldey. And something that I brought to the table with Damon recently on a live show is the thought that why can't Jaden Braldey have a TJ McConnell-esque arc to his career? You would know better than I. Am I crazy for thinking that that's possible? Or could Jaden Braldey kind of carve out that consistent role in the NBA as a winning, steady point guard?
I think so. He's one of these, there's plenty of freshman guards that are drawing a lot of attention, in the lottery right now, and everyone's getting excited about them. But I think this is the type of point guard you want to find some good value in, and maybe in the second round. And I think Jaden has the tools to be a really valuable piece if he lands with the right team. And one of these guys, we look back and, Peyton Pritchard goes the end of the first round to the Celtics, and all of a sudden look how great he's turned out to be. I'm not saying Jaden's going to end up in the first round because this is a very deep class right now, but I think there's a really interesting opportunity for him to be like, hey, he could land and this could be a great find for some team if they're just patient. And he's done a complete overhaul with, his game each year has gotten so much better. And this year, I think he's just been tremendous, and not just like the stats. I think the film and the way he's played the game this year has really stood out. So I think so. I think you're onto something, and he's a guy I would want to go get in the second round, because I think you could be like, hey, we hit on our first round pick and now we got Jaden Braldey. Like, this could look like a great draft in a couple of years.
I think that my philosophy, at least, and from an NBA fan perspective, is in the second round, draft me good basketball players. Like, you know what? I'm not necessarily looking for the guy with the highest ceiling in the world in that spot. I'm looking for dudes that I think are going to find ways to contribute on this team. I'm a Heat fan, Tyler, full disclosure, and I feel like that's kind of the method that the Heat go after all the time, is like, who is going to, and they even do it into the first round with like a Jaime Jaquez of like, this guy played 4 years in college. We know for a fact he's going to be our 6th, 7th man for a very, very long time. Like, I'm in the business of drafting good basketball players. Jaden Braldey is exactly that. And also, I saw somebody say online the other day, and I agree with it, if a guy like Javon Carter can play in the league for like 8 years, why can't Jaden Braldey be an NBA player?
I have a feeling I know who might have said that. I agree with you. And it's funny that teams like the Heat, for example, like you're saying, everyone goes, how do they always find these guys? And it's like, because they understand the value to get in the draft. I think there's a lot of times these teams in the drafts will swing for the fences. And you're like, why don't you just, not trying to cross over sports here, but like hit a single, hit a double. You'll be moving the needle forward. And I think in the second round, that's always been my favorite philosophy, is like, draft good guys. Stop chasing what the unknown is in the second round. Like, get something you're going to be comfortable with. Like, hey, Jaden Braldey, I know what he's going to be. He's going to be good size, tough, smart, and bring something in our backcourt. So that's where I think those teams hit gold, is you get the guys that present good value and at least help you take a step forward. You don't need to take a leap or, swing for the fences to try to connect on 2 grand slams or something. Just make it simple. Take baby steps. And I think that's, someone like Jaden Braldey could really do that for a team.
Now, another guy that I've been pounding the drum all season of like, hey, if you are talking top guards in this class, why not look at the guy doing the most on a winning team, the best team in the country, in Brayden Burries, right? And I think that when you're looking at freshman intangibles, being able to contribute and chip in a winning system with maybe the best team in the country definitely stands out to me. I have a question for you that is twofold. First off, where are you at right now in your evaluation of Brayden Burries? And then secondly, do you think that the intangibles that he brings to the table of like contributing to winning and the rebounding and all this different stuff for Arizona, does that kind of play into him potentially going higher in this draft than people expected a couple months ago?
Yeah, I kind of did I'm catching up on all of my prospects, kind of doing my deep dive of the whole year, and I wanted to kind of watch all the guards, in a row so I can kind of measure them out. And I think Burries has a case with any of them. And I'm not being biased, being an Arizona fan. If anything, I grade those guys harder because I'm watching them so much, but he's just got everything you're looking for a player that could really be something that sticks for an NBA team and also has upside. I think he's got toughness to be a two-way player. I think he's so good with being, physical, but also under control. And I think the shot's been great. I love his ability in transition. Like I keep saying, he reminds me of a stronger but not as lengthy Derek White. Like that's the vibes I get watching Burries, and that's a very valuable player right now at the NBA level. So he's one of those guys that you could kind of pencil in with any team in the top 10, like probably starting at 5. And I know the lottery will come and change that up, but he fits in a lot of places. Like, so I think it's the impact, what he does potentially on both sides of the ball, and how much better he's gotten, playing with Jaden Braldey this year. Like he played off the ball. He got really much better. He's also shown some stuff on the ball. I think he's a more complete guard prospect than maybe some of these other guys. So I think that's what he's got going for him. And you kind of look at some of these teams picking early and you're like, man, Brayden Burries would be nice there. He'd be nice there. And I was like, that's usually a telling sign when you're going down the list and you're like, yeah, he makes sense in all these places. I think teams like him a lot too.
Brayden Burries has certainly been one of the big names in regards to Arizona basketball draft prospects during this entire year. But the other guy right there along with him is probably Peat, right? And Koa had a lull in the middle of the season where I think people started getting a little bit lower on him. But recently, since tournament time has started, it feels like Peat is back to playing the type of basketball that we got accustomed to seeing in the non-conference out of Peat. So where do things stand with his draft evaluation right now? Where are analysts kind of projecting Peat? Is he back to trending up, or is he kind of staying steady on maybe just outside that lottery?
Yeah, I think it's a little bit more towards outside the lottery. He's a tough one. There's always these prospects every year, and it's kind of like you talk to teams and you get just this wide variance. And you're like, whoa, we're all over the map with this one. And teams like Koa, but I also think when you watch Peat, you're kind of just like, oh, man, you could see why this could be really fun. And you're also like, man, one more year, like things could get really fun for Peat as a prospect. But you also see why teams maybe you're picking outside that lottery be like, we'd love to get Peat as kind of an asset that we can be patient with. He can help us early on. So he's tough because when things are cooking and you see the best of Peat, you're like, yeah, this is a very valuable player. And when you have the lulls, you're like, this is a tough one right now. He's got so much going for him in the right direction. But I also think there's so many doors that like don't need a ton of work, if you want to put it that way, to really be a player that's going to play at the NBA for a long time. It's just this class is so strong. I think you get to a point where you're like, is he going to be right on that fence to maybe be like, hey, you do wonders to return one more year and really, really help your stock, because next year's class is much, much weaker. I know Caleb Holt was just going, guys, I'm excited about Caleb Holt too, but the depth next year is a big question mark. So it's why a lot of these guys are looking at me like, one more year wouldn't be the worst thing for me. So I struggle with Koa because I see the impact. I see how much, he helps winning. He's tough. He's always been a winner. Everyone talks about Cam Boozer's resume throughout his Peat's is right up there with Cam Boozer. I just want to see him have the best position to succeed right away at the NBA. So I think this is a big game for him. I think him showcasing that he can do this against a tough Michigan team will probably speak very loudly to decision makers. So I can't wait to see what he can do. I think he's probably the biggest X factor.
Now, I mean, another X factor in this, at least in this Arizona-Michigan game, and I guess in Arizona's season as a whole, has been Ivan Kharchenkov, or if you ask Dusty May, Ivan
Kharchenkov.
Ivan Kharchenkov has been incredible all season long, Tyler. And I was saying preseason that this guy could be an X factor for this Arizona squad, and he's done everything I thought and then more. But he might have his biggest challenge yet of the season. He's faced off against AJ DeBonsa, Cameron Carr, all these big draft prospects. Now you got Yaxel Lendeborg coming up against Ivan on Saturday. What do you think? What do you make about that matchup and just Yvonne in general at this point in time?
Yeah, that's the matchup I come down to. I go, okay, does Arizona just let Yvonne go crazy and try to cancel out Yaxel? Do they kind of do a little combination with Peat? Because you also got Toby coming off the bench, and those bigs, Michigan are great. So but I always come back to Kharchenkov. I can't get over the Dusty May thing. I listened to that like 15 times in a row because I was like, he didn't pronounce it that bad.
Kharchenkov.
It's incredible. So I always come back to that going against Yaxel. And I think this is another great opportunity. And he's had so much success against some of these big time prospects this year. And Yaxel's right up there too. But I think it's a great, matchup. It's kind of two madmen of good size and versatility. And I think he'll be ready for it. But, it's just going to be kind of funny. Everyone's been, Yaxel in the post-game press conferences has been interesting. But I also think it's like everyone kind of underestimates Kharchenkov. And all of a sudden he gets out there and you're like, yeah, this is a tough kid too. So it's that's the in-game adjustments I want to see. I'm hoping refs don't get us a foul trouble dilemma with some of this, but I really can't wait to kind of see how that matchup comes because teams love him. I don't think he'll be a this year guy. I really want one more year at Arizona because I think he could skyrocket, but he's very much on the radar. I think teams are very intrigued.
Now, obviously you mentioned the potential of him coming back for another year. Another guy that has been kind of will he, won't he, is Motiejus Krivas. Now, he also has a marquee matchup coming up Saturday with him and Aday Mara. People are wondering, will it be, Mara coming off the board first in terms of bigs? I guess if you count Boozer, and then he'll be second. But you get my point. True centers in this upcoming class, there's not that many. First of all, do you see Krivas coming back for the college, going to the pros as of right now? And what do you make about that Mara-Krivas matchup on Saturday?
Yeah, it's tough with Mo because I do think there's a lot of depth at the big man position in this class, but there's not a lot of separation. And I almost feel like he's kind of taken advantage of that because, Jaden Quaintance was of Kentucky. Everyone was like, oh, that's going to be the first big. Well, now it's kind of like up in the air because of the injury situation and we got to wait for medicals. So after that, it's like, well, who's going to kind of take advantage of this opportunity? Mara's been great. I think Krivas is right there. And there's the hit rate recently in the NBA with these gigantic bigs, Zach Edey, Donovan Clingan. It's kind of making teams feel like, well, these guys might be safer than we realize. And Krivas has been that good defensively this year. So right now, I want to say, like, I think he'd be tough to come back because of how much momentum he's got. Final Four team, he's been the anchor defensively, you could argue. But the Mara showdown is going to be a big one because Mara can pass. And if you haven't watched Michigan this year, he is a very talented playmaker. So it's like Krivas he's got to guard him. You got to be right up in his face. So it's kind of funny. It's like a heavyweight foul. They're just gonna be throwing haymakers left and right. These two guys. I kind of want to see like who adjusts and whatnot because this could be a big moment for Krivas. This could be a big opportunity for him to be like, no, like I'm gonna shut down Mara and be a monster on the boards. Same story goes for Mara too. It's gonna be two guys that really could cement themselves as like first round bigs or guys that could be two of the first bigs off the boards.
Two guys that I think are, certainly like haven't really faced each other or anything of that ilk, right? Like a lot of the concern with Mo Krivas going into this year was how does he fare against guys that are smaller than him that could kind of get up in his grill and make things difficult for him. And he's shown and proven that, that it's not going to be a deterrent. Like he's going to get his shots up. And if his touch looks good, which it typically does, he's going to score some points. Now, I think conversely, Mara also hasn't really faced that 7'2" size, and Krivas hasn't faced that 7'3" size. So it's going to be really interesting seeing the big on big matchup there and what that looks like, because I don't think that you necessarily have gotten a good feel for what that looks like this season. But I do think that one regard that Mo Krivas can maybe take advantage of in that matchup is an athleticism advantage, because he is a little bit more fleet of foot than Aday Mara. So is that something that you could see as well, Tyler? Like, maybe Mo Krivas taking advantage, running the floor on a guy like Mara?
Yeah, I think, Mo's got the power advantage. I think Mara's so good of he wants to kind of get out a little bit more on the elbow extended because he can just whip passes and see over everyone, and his playmaking's that good. So that's why you almost have to kind of guard him, face guard him, because you don't want him to be able to just have clear line of sight. But if it comes to like the inside finishing, rebounding, I think Mo can really do some damage because he's just so powerful and throwing his body around. And Mara can block some shots, but he's not one of those that's going to try to overpower people. That's why they got Morez Johnson. And I think Toby Owaka, Cole Peat, if they could stay out of foul trouble, also just protecting and offering more muscle inside, that's where Arizona could really have some fun and make it tough for Michigan. But to answer what you're saying, like, yeah, I think you get out, try to get him some, hit aheads or get him some easy lobs going early. I think Mo could have a really nice game, a really big game. And I'm just going to be fascinated to kind of see where they lean on early. Like, what's the target of that offense of trying to be like, hey, we think this is the mismatch. Because I think there's Jaden Braldey, as I said earlier, but I also think there's some other areas they can maybe get a little creative. And, this might be the Del Orso game. This might be some guys coming off the bench.
Now, obviously, that is Arizona versus Michigan matchups practically set. Did you have any other notes that you wanted to talk about in terms of the matchups in Arizona versus Michigan or any individual players in that game before I prompt you with a Caleb Holt question? Because I'm dying to talk a little bit of Caleb Holt with my guy.
No, I could talk the Arizona Michigan stuff all day. So whatever you guys need, it's fine. I'm just pumped out of my mind for that showdown just because of how good both teams have been this year. And I do think they're like mirror images. It's crazy. It's two rosters that kind of went in the same philosophy to build their team out, and now we get to see it in the biggest stage almost. It's great.
Is there anything about Michigan that maybe, from an evaluation standpoint, something that you've watched that Arizona fans that are not as familiar with Michigan might not be familiar with?
It's the bigs are that good. Defensively, Morez Johnson's a guy that he's going to make an impact on this game. And you might look at some of the stats or box scores, and Morez Johnson's an unbelievable defensive big. And he's 6'9", 250, but he's the quarterback defensively, and he's really talented. So it's kind of one of those. Michigan they got a 7'3" guy that has unbelievable playmaking and Aday Mara, and then they got a finisher and Morez, and then they got Yaxel. They're just jumbo sized. And I'm not saying Arizona isn't, but that's why it's going to be. They haven't seen anything like Arizona, and Arizona probably hasn't seen anything like Michigan. And it's going to be really, really interesting because I think this Michigan team's talented with the ball movement, but a couple of these Arizona games in this tournament, I've been like, this ball movement is unbelievable. So I think it's going to come down to who could slow the other team down. And both these teams like to kind of play the same style at times, but it's just going to be like, take care of the ball, find your advantages. And this is going to be a fun one. I don't think this is going to be a blowout. I think this is going to be a bar fight to the end.
I love it. A heavyweight bar fight with some skill. That might be the best bar fight of all time. We'll get you out of here on this, Tyler Rucker. Obviously, not too deep on Caleb Holt yet. He has not even stepped foot on a college basketball court. However, he did step foot in the McDonald's All-American game last night to the extent of a co-MVP. We outlined it before you got on the show today, just how incredible he has been preseason before he gets to Arizona. Where are your initial thoughts at with Caleb Holt? And am I a crazy person for telling people he might be a freshman of the year next year?
No, I don't think you're crazy. I mean, there's always some guys that, I'm keeping an eye on, and especially with Arizona, I'm going to be like, hey, I can go scout them in person. I'd really like them to go there. That's a great fit. And Caleb Holt, going down to the end, I was like, man, I would love him at Tucson. I think he would be a great fit for Arizona and Tommy Lloyd, and it's going to be great. I think he could be one of the top guards in this class next year. This is I kind of say this is a class that's more of like if you're a draft fan, it's more of the old school drafts where it's like, oh, you take a guy, you develop him a little bit, and you wait to reap the rewards. We've been spoiled recently with how quickly some of these guys are ready to just hit the ground running, but this is more of an upside swing type of class right now. And I think Caleb Holt's a heck of a talent. He's been playing great when it comes to even like the FIBA play. He's tough, and I think the outside shot's coming along beautifully. So it's a big get for Arizona fans, and I can't wait to see what he does. next year. He's going to be a one guy that I'm probably going to be really, really high on in the preseason, and I think he could make some noise quick.
He is our guy, Tyler Rucker of No Ceilings. Tyler, what do you want to plug before we get you out of here? I know you're doing about 1 million things, so I will let you do the plug-in of your own content there. What do you want to promote before we get you out of here?
The only thing, I'll have an article Friday. Yeah, what day is it? No, I'm kidding. Friday at NoCeilingsNBA.com. I'm just doing 10 questions on 10 prospects in the Final Four, but enough of that. Go Cats. Bear down, baby. That's all I got to plug.
Follow him at Tyler_Rucker, Rucker, on Twitter for maybe some of the funniest draft content you can find and also the best analytical content. You had me and Damon rolling with that Yaxel Lendeborg press conference video set to that Alex Warren song. What the heck is that? Another Yaxel Lendeborg presser has just dropped, but he is Tyler Rucker. You can follow him at Tyler_Rucker and at No Ceilings.
Hopefully
Tyler,
we get a little bit more of that on Saturday, and we get rage baited Yaxel Lendeborg after being guarded by not only one freshman but 2 freshmen all night long by Peat and by Ivan Kharchenkov, and hopefully we're talking about an Arizona Wildcats W. We appreciate you, Tyler. Thank you so much for spending the time today.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
That is our guy, Tyler Rucker of No Ceilings NBA. Of course, follow all the great content that they got going up on their channel, on their site all the time. Follow them on Twitter and follow Tyler_Rucker. Appreciate him for spending the time with us on a Wednesday afternoon. Kevin, I think that's going to about do it for the AZ Wildcats pod today. Did you have anything else before we get on out of here?
No, you got to do another podcast. We got to get the hell out of here. D-backs won, I hear.
The D-backs are back. Sweep of the Tigers. Go ahead and get your brooms out, folks. And
wait,
of course,
that deserves one of these.
Love it. We love it. Shout out our fearless leader, Tommy Lloyd. Of course, shout out my guy, Kevin, for holding it down as always. Kevo posts on Twitter. Kharchenkov. P-O-S-D-S. And of course, follow me at Damon Dog as well, where I am starting war. I'm declaring war against UNC Twitter. And if you want to get a part of that, you know where to go. It's at Damon Dog, where wars always are constantly started on the Twitter streets on my page. So appreciate everybody for watching this one. Of course, PHNX_Wildcats to follow all of our content. And then, of course, if you're a baseball fan, join us on the PHNX D-backs postgame show where we'll be live in a mere few minutes here. Appreciate Kevin. Appreciate Tyler Rucker. And appreciate everybody here at PHNX Sports and the people here in the chat. We love you guys. Peace out. Bear down.
And go Cats. If you don't think this game Saturday is going to be a banger, you're a
flat idiot.
We all silly like the mayor.